make it in fiction out of your imagination a worse ending than the one we've got for A.J. Brown in Philadelphia, and just what that city's going to feel about him at what should be a time in Philadelphia to be really grateful for the team that you had that ran physically roughshod over everyone, and then this season sort of ground to an halt, 3 and outs because however constipated they are with the football.
Yeah, well, to steal Domino's name, it really was a domino effect going back to probably October when it was really apparent that A.J. Brown was not happy. And I feel like nobody wanted to hear it. Everyone was in denial that how could a team with so much talent not figure it out? And it was obvious that this offense didn't feel like they weren't playing up to their potential. And everyone is just blaming everybody, right? Jalen Hurts appeared to be blaming the offensive coordinator. A.J. Brown was blaming Jalen Hurts. There wasn't a lot of pointing back at themselves. That was something I noticed throughout the whole season. No one ever came up to the podium or spoke to reporters and said, I need to be better. I have to do a better job. Everyone just kind of just sat in the muck, in the yuck of this isn't good. Because here's the thing, that's the truth. I think now everyone knows. You should not be surprised that the Philadelphia Eagles lost in the first round of the playoffs. That should not be surprising. What did they show us this year? At what point did this offense ever put together a performance that made you go, this team is going back to the Super Bowl? They never did. The only times they looked decent were against the Giants, right? And that was just
the back end of the Rams game. Look, the Rams, this sport is weird, man. It's weird and it's crazy. So let me just step back from what you witnessed this weekend, okay?
Okay.
The dogs, okay, all of the underdogs, the Chargers end up collapsing at their end because their offensive line shouldn't have been in the playoffs. All the other underdogs either won or covered. The league is that close. And one of the games has, in the Rams, what I believe to be the best team in the league, only lose if they have 3 turnovers. It's going to beat Seattle, except they could have used that rest, and that game needs to be at home. And they might have thrown away their season because they're a 5 seed because they left 5 of these close games. They played Carolina, worst point differential history of the league, fighting for their life in the first road game because of how hard all this shit is after an extra game and all the bodies are broken.
Yeah,
you missed
out on the Niners.
The most interesting thing from this weekend is a football I really care about this history and perspective wise. Crazy week. The most interesting thing in it was what?
To me, it was the San Francisco 49ers figuring out a way to win. I know we just spent a few minutes talking about that the Eagles stink, but Dan, I had the card in front of me in the press box, with the roster, and I was playing a game with myself of can I name the starting linebackers of the San Francisco 49ers without looking? I didn't know who these dudes were. And we're in the playoffs here because they've been able to just piecemeal. Yes, Kyle Shanahan has been brilliant. Robert Saleh was brilliant. The Philadelphia Eagles were out-coached on Sunday. So I've always thought the Niners story was kind of cute. Look at these guys. They're playing with passion. They're playing with heart. They're finding ways to win. But I didn't think they'd be able to make it this far. So to me, that's been one of the best stories in football. This is a team that's been decimated.
It's interesting to hear you say that because empirically that sounds right in the value of things, right? How does San Francisco, even though all of its best players are hurt, how do they go and dethrone the most physical team and the defending champion? And they lose Kittle during the game. How, year after year, do they physically get to this point when they should have broken 3 times this season? How are they with Seattle as an organization and with the Rams when physically this whole thing should have been ground to dust? You would agree? And yet they still somehow win, and it's a mystery. And it's a mystery.
I don't know if it's a mystery. I think it's actually pretty simple to understand. You have a really good head coach who knows how to scheme and puts the work in and has the pulse of this team and understands ways to win and how to take advantages of the things that they've been facing. But also just asking guys like Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey after the game, give me just in one sentence why you are able to be here right now. And they're like, we got nothing to lose. Like we're not supposed to be here. And I think that's a dangerous place for a team to be in, at least for the opponents, right? Like this is a good spot because they're playing loose.
It's just
They
crazy.
don't have to.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Diana. It's just crazy to me that the San Francisco 49ers are in this position again, because you're saying that they're playing loose, and Seattle and the Rams have looked better than them all season. They carried part of their season with Mac Jones. Darnold and Stafford don't miss games. San Francisco got to here fighting with these two teams with Mac Jones in the middle. That's if you're basically telling me empirically that they have a coaching advantage that is seismic between whatever number 1 and number 2 is in this league. That it's not small. It's like people don't understand the difference in value there.
Yeah. And look, he is definitely going to be up there for Coach of the Year. We turned in our nominations last week. I think it's going to be neck and neck with Vrabel. I'm interested to see what the voting is going to wind up being, because obviously you can give Mike also tons of credit for what they're doing with this Patriots team. But look, and the reason why I leaned towards Vrabel when I was discussing this with some people, I think just when you look at what they've done, how they've bounced back from what they were last year, and it's not like Drake May's got these incredible pieces around him either.
I just really am. When the body count, Warner, Bosa, Trent Williams is not himself anymore. Like
No.
physically, it's obvious that of course, the game is going to physically break all of them. Kittle goes down
Purdy,
during
Pearsall.
the game. Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant, last in the draft. Pearsall's been shot.
And he missed less games.
Played with a bullet. Played with a bullet immediately.
I embrace my stupidity pretty comfortably at this point. And so I've known Trent for years. I covered him in Washington. And so we kind of like came up together. So he's one of the very few players that when I see, it's just like a really genuine conversation of catching up. And so I see him and my brain's going 100 miles an hour because I got a million things I want to do and see and talk to, people I want to talk to. And I'm like, hey man, what's up? I'm like, how you doing? You guys are great. I'm like, how you feeling? And he just like in the like coldest look was like, not good at all. And I was like, what's up? He's like, my hamstring. I'm like, yeah, but you're active. He's like, I'm active because I have to be. It's the playoffs. So I saw him after the game. I was like, how's that hamstring? He's like, not great.
Okay, Diana,
probably, Diana, to your point.
Okay,
like,
but you're sitting here, you're grinning maniacally at the toughness of this human being. Can we just for a moment examine these incredibly strong people, human beings, are breaking each other every week. Trent Williams has been the best and the strongest among them for many years. He's part of why San Francisco is so good, and while Shanahan can look that good, he's been physically dominant forever. Of course, that's going to break his body. It's going to be totally broken, and now he can't play anymore, but he's on the field. Warner and Bosa are in the box, and they don't have anyone out there except Mr. Irrelevant. Ayuk's not out there. Like, it's not, they don't have players.
Fred Warner's trying to get back. They're not going to open the practice window this week, but if they can get past Seattle.
No, he's not going to get back with a he's been,
the buzz is they're trying to get Fred back.
No.
So then you have this, then you have in the second quarter, George Kittle goes down, and I mean, everyone can see it on camera what happened. And so The Athletic had sent like 8 reporters there to the game. So I was sitting next to Mike Silver, my colleague. I'm like, I'm going to go to the tunnel and see if like anything happens. Because it's George Kittle. Like he's incredibly magnetic and he's got such a big personality. And he doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to get injured and just like put a towel over his head. So I went down to the tunnel and I see his wonderful wife, Claire, and Jed York, the owner, just walk in there. And they look miserable for obvious reasons. And so I'm just about to walk off and I see a guy that I'd seen on the field that worked for the Niners, and he had a tequila bottle under his arm, and he went into the locker room. And I didn't want to make assumptions, but it was pretty obvious that that tequila bottle was for George Kittle. And it turns out that they took shots and they basically just drank their heads off at halftime. Or at least through the game, because he was so miserable. And Jed York had walked in there and was like, hey, man, can I do anything for you? And George is like, yeah, can I get some tequila? So after the game, all the players went in there and they see George and he's like hammered. And he's like, let's go. And everyone started taking shots, and that bottle was on the floor, empty, obviously. So it was quite a celebration in a locker room that, from a team that wasn't probably expected to knock out the Super Bowl champs.
Slay that giant on the road, Mac Jones and Mr. Irrelevant again without their receivers, now without their tight end. It's lunacy. It doesn't Philadelphia, to me, wherever it is, I understand that Philadelphia gets emotional about these things, but there is no shame in being dethroned by that thing, which is represented the elite.
There is shame. I disagree. You are more talented. You are naturally more gifted on your field, right? And that's credit to how they structured this team. You've had the luck of very few injuries outside Lane Johnson, right? You are the better team on the field. Everybody knows that based on who's able to play. And you let that slip away. You let a team that wanted it more knock you out at home, at the Link, coming off a Super Bowl. That's embarrassing.
Against a San Francisco team that had just gotten its ass kicked by Seattle in a really meaningful game. What was it, 16-3, 19-3?
13-3. Well, the Seattle defense can ransack you in the spot this weekend, Dianna. Every team that's ever had the kind of rest Seattle has wins this game. And the only reason people wouldn't believe that they'll win this game is Sam Darnold. It is two words, and people won't make it about more than that. We've seen Seattle. Shanahan's brilliant. Seattle in the game for everything, before the games for everything, ransacked him. Like, Shanahan's never looked that bad. Shanahan, coaching genius.
Yep.
Didn't matter that he'll beat you with Darnold. McDonald to beat you, he'll be 15-2, and he'll beat you on the road with Darnold. And he'll beat you on the road with Geno Smith. That's what's happened twice, correct?
I am not going to sit up here and say the San Francisco 49ers are going to beat the Seattle Seahawks. I can just tell you, if a team that is going to continue this mentality that we've got nothing to lose, with maybe the carrot of a return of Fred Warner in the corner with a motivated defensive coordinator who's trying to get a head coaching job, is basically just putting on a display of his own talent and skill set as a coach, I don't know. And look, you're acting like Sam Darnold's had ultimate success in the playoffs. Like, isn't his narrative, isn't the story that he's not able to get off, get to the other side here?
Well,
and
we have
perform
the
at a high level?
call of get Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, the last Minnesota season that ended here when we dared to believe that Minnesota was what Seattle is this year. Zazlo, I want you to get in here, and I also want to start going, speeding all of this up, not because I mean to do this, Dianna, but because there's so much to get to with you that I need to speed it up at 30-second bites on each, because let's start with Mike Tomlin. That's 8 straight years with no playoff victories and doomed in this purgatory of we're always going to win this many games, and should we bring Aaron Rodgers back? Oh, it's all over in Pittsburgh. That's what it's not going to look any better than that. They're another team that needs a quarterback.
I think it will look different. Look, we don't know what the future, what the future is going to be. I know the Steelers want Aaron Rodgers back. We'll see if he continues to play. We'll see what Mike Tomlin decides to do. I think TV is a real thing. I think him stepping away is on the table. I don't think that's just a gossipy rumor thing. That's kind of one of those things that everyone around football kind of is like winking, like Tomlin's going to probably do this. He also has another year in his deal. He may want to return as well. So you have those options there. Then you've got, their general manager's got great relationships with a guy like Mike McCarthy. We'll see what happens if Tomlin does step away. Where are they going to go? Because, guys, look at this coaching cycle right now. It's out of control. I can't even keep track of how many people the Titans are interviewing right now.
Okay, Dianna, look, so I know there's a lot here, and I'm gonna tighten you up. This is going to be right here. This game, 30 seconds on each thing, and then we got to hit her with a sound of some sort that tells her time's up, because I know you can talk for 10 minutes on each of the subjects I'm about to give you.
Just tell her to be quicker.
Thank you.
Guys,
I could be
you
quicker
need to be
while
quicker
telling
too.
you.
Yeah, faster.
I don't understand why you guys want to speed me up. If I have good information, you should slow down.
That's exactly right.
What I'm giving you.
Short
like
attention
this is,
span.
I'm not the person to speed up if I'm a football fan.
Wow.
I'm the one you go, hey, stop talking and let her tell you everything she knows.
Slow down, Evan.
We have to wrap.
No, I'd say the 30 seconds.
All right.
Well,
your show.
Let's not fight over this. It seems as though there was a report that teams are just going to ignore Marcus Freeman and still try to talk to him about these head coaching vacancies.
Yeah, I think Marcus Freeman is still going to be a guy that people keep an eye on. They want him. I just don't get the idea or thoughts or information that Marcus is actually going to do it. I don't think this is the time he wants to do it. We'll see, though.
Dianna, did the Packers win or did the Bears lose?
The Packers lost. That was like 15 self-inflicted wounds. Credit to Caleb Williams, who figures out how to win in the fourth quarter.
What a
9
sucker
fourth quarter
move.
wins. But I just think Green Bay collapsed.
Man, I'm embarrassed now.
Diana,
Yeah,
is that
you
little
got it.
kid right?
Brutal.
Does Kevin Patula need to be flipping burgers?
Brutal.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Brutal.
That little kid.
He was electric.
That little kid is the symbol of Philadelphia. They need to make him the mayor. I think, I don't know if he's going to be flipping burgers, but I think they're having serious conversations about the future of Kevin Patula there. I do not think it would be surprising if they decide to move on from him.
That was so bad, Zaz.
Zaz, we're
We're
writing
going
it
to cover
down.
that one in the
We're
post show. I'll
writing
tell
it
you that
down.
right
No, we're
now.
going to cover it as soon as she's off the. No,
yeah.
Bears lose.
No,
A mid-segment meeting.
I want to hear that replay several times.
That was bad.
He asks good questions. I always like when Zaz talks because he always asks me real things. And he
Yeah,
wants
but I
to
just
know.
embarrassed myself in front
Why?
of you, Diana. Because my question, see, Diana didn't even pick up on it.
No, but she's not playing the same game you are. We have expectations around here. Around you,
embarrassed.
you waited 10
I
minutes
love that he's
before
wondering if
talking.
he's embarrassed by what he said.
No, I'll
yet he's
explain
dressed
it to
the way
you.
he is.
So that we don't
What's wrong with
exclude,
that? Hey,
So
this
that we
culture is my
don't-
costume.
exclude
This is my look now, Diana. This is how I dress.
Okay. I will tell you what happened there, Diana. I don't want to exclude the audience about what we're laughing there. What happened is Zaslow hadn't spoken for about 14 minutes. He really was the Tio. He really was the Tio at the party who
Living the
doesn't
gimmick.
speak, and everyone just believes he's Cuban.
I love rooting for my
And so
teammates'
the
demise.
entire show turned to him, and he was just going to hop in and out with a question that was 2 sentences, radio professional, and he stumbled over one of them, and 4 of us noticed, but he saw that we noticed, and the show fell apart right there, Mike enjoying that Zaslow had tripped over the
Yeah.
jump
For
rope.
a second,
great, yeah.
I was hoping no one noticed.
He's
For
a radio
second.
professional, been
Yeah,
doing it
he
for 20
panicked.
years. Don't talk for 15 minutes. Here's your chance. Here are 6 notes. Don't fuck up one of them. And then,
The pressure. He's Sam Darnold.
so,
Wow.
okay, I'm sorry. Harbaugh, either one of them, 30 seconds on each.
John Harbaugh's going to have his choice. I think he really wants to stay in the NFC. I think the Titans are interesting because they've got Cam Ward, but I think for him, he wants to be in a division that's not in his brothers. And also the teams in the NFC, like the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants, are pushing hard. And I think those are going to wind up being the teams that he zeroes in on over the next few days. As for Jim Harbaugh, look, I mean, when is he going to get Justin Herbert to a point where they're going to get further in the playoffs? I believe in his program. I know what he does is really well. I just think it needs to be better with such a good quarterback.
Do you agree with me that the Chargers' offensive line didn't belong in the playoffs and that Harbaugh should be prosecuted for criminal charges for close to manslaughter for the way he made Justin Herbert play the last 6 weeks of the season?
Look, he had no choice. He had no choice. He had to do what he had to do to try to get this team to as far as they were able to. Justin is the reason why they're playing in this playoff team with absolutely no protection. They can't look. Injuries happen. It's going to be part of it. But his brother's going to have a pick of the litter, so to speak.
Can you give us the latest John Harbaugh situation? Because the Dolphins are not interviewing him. He's not, and why is that? And what do you make of the Dolphins hiring the GM? It's weird that the Dolphins would handle things the way that they've handled them and not feel like
Is it actually weird?
they were going to get in on Harbaugh. The Dolphins had to have planned to get in on Harbaugh.
Yeah, so I'm with Zaz there. Like, it's not weird because they're very clear with how they want this to operate. We saw it with Chris Greer all those years. They were very transparent with their process, and it was, we are going to hire a general manager first. We don't care about anything else around it. And that's their choice. That's how they think they can build the correct structure. Obviously, Troy Aikman has had a big say in there. Which is why the general manager that landed there is probably had the inside track from the start. Troy was a huge fan of his. Look, the conversations with John Harbaugh right now it's a lot of screening, we'll call it, where every team has talked to him. Like, just because nothing's been formal, like you haven't seen the tweet from the team account, like we have formally interviewed John. There's been so much back channeling and work done by John and his camp to try to get to know each of these teams, their ownership, the structure, how they want this to run. So don't freak out if you're a Dolphins fan and you want John Harbaugh and you haven't seen anything formal. They've talked to him. They know what he's looking for,
Diana.
and they know what they can get from him. So I just don't think that the Dolphins have the inside track on John in terms of his interest.